good to be at the feast again. Second one overall. Like most of you know, Shane originally from Missouri. I was raised in, Christian's such a loosely defined term now. So, yeah, sure, Christian, because you pretty much just have to say it. But, I have to give kudos to my father, or else I would have never even heard about the Lord. He didn't try to pressure me into something, and I just heard bits and pieces. And at one point, he came to time to go. He wanted to get back to church, and he started going regularly. He was a Baptist, so that was all I ever knew. They say I have childlike faith. Well, I had childlike knowledge and everything. I didn't know anything at all, and I still don't know very, very much. But I always questioned so many things, why there were so many denominations, and that was confusing. Whatever, just confused. Catholics, Baptists, Protestant. I don't know. But anyway. That's all I'd ever known. So I started going to church because I kind of felt obligated at a young age through high school and whatnot. Didn't get anything out of it because my heart wasn't there. But they don't really talk about that. It's just 20-minute sermons. You got some hymns. You got a little bit. And then when I was 17, I thought I was baptized. I was dipped in water, but I just because felt like you're supposed to do it. I remember being embarrassed going up there because I was 17. Because you got 5-year-olds. I know you're 2. I remember you saying that in a sermon, and it cracked me up. But, you got 5-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and I'm a 17-year-old going embarrassed, so that kind of just shows you that. But then moved out as soon as college started and just got into the world, and just like typical because I wasn't grounded in the faith or anything. And tried doing my things my own way for like so many of us do. And, I'm sure I know that there were parts where I thought I knew things. I thought I had things figured out. And then it got to a point where I didn't even think about that. It was just everything become numb and just raw. And it was just, every day was just a grind, and there was just no purpose. And, trying to keep it together here, but there was just no purpose, because that's a life without Christ there's no purpose. But and then it took a little over 26 years, and on July 5th last year, the day is exact, and because July 4th I went with my worldly friends at the time. We were going to go camping at some ground, and it all fell apart beautifully, which was supposed to be, because everybody just lost their momentum. It was a campground that wanted to go legitimate camping, and then we went to a campground, and it was horrible, and and then they were like, whatever, and it was supposed to be, but something happened the next morning. I woke up, and I was like, it's time, and all I knew was, well, you should start maybe going to church regularly. You can start with what you know, and something just changed then. And I knew I was going to lose those friends. I was fine with it, and that happened quick. And I just knew Baptists, so I went to a huge Baptist church because somebody mentioned his name. I won't even say his name because it doesn't matter. But huge church. I was fired up. I was ready to start trying to learn. I was going regularly. I was doing these discipleship classes, which now I look back and I didn't learn anything from them. But I just wanted to just plug in as much as possible, and I was doing this class at 8 a.m., and then I had choir stuff, and I was in the choir, and then both services the choir, and then they had a more modern style of, whatever, in this, because it was a big church. So then I was like, I'll go join that, since I already saw this sermon, because they had 2 services for each set, because it's big. So I was like, I'll get that. 12:30, everyone's gone. I remember walking around in this huge church, 12:30, they're gone. And 8 to 12:30 is not long, and that's as much as you can possibly do. And I've gave testimonies about this before, and I don't know how it came in. It just planted. Never literally heard the Feast of Tabernacles at all. Never heard it, even the Jewish word for it, Sukkot, right? Just whatever, doesn't matter. But none of it. Period. Trumpets, maybe I've heard a reference to the Day of Atonement, but if you're not putting thought into your walk, why would you put thought into things that don't matter because you're saved forever, right? But yeah. And so, I mean, I was even in this huge church. I was so fired up that I'm very personable. I went up to the main pastor of the whole church, and I caught his eye or whatever, and then he took me in with like three or four other young men on Wednesday nights. So we'd meet in his office at 6. Then I'd have choir practice. So I mean, it's a big church, and it was just us. And then the Feast of Tabernacles came, and I just had time off. For this first job I ever had PTO, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I hadn't used any yet. And I was like, okay, well, if I just take a week off and pray a bunch and read the Bible, then whatever. Well, something came. It wasn't, I don't know, I feel like it wasn't a month and a half after July 5th that I knew I was going to the feast. And then I started looking up where to go. What do you do? I don't have any money. And then I didn't even know about all the sermons and all the rich stuff we have on the website. Like, the feast page somehow came up. Thank the Lord, because just somehow the feast, and I just gave it to him. This sounds good. I'm ready to be blessed. Gonna be praise music, fellowship, and I'm like, sweet, awesome, sounds good. And I called Sunday night, and Larry answered the phone, and I just heard, love in his voice, and he's, like he always does. And I was like, all right, sounds good. There we go. I know where I'm going. I remember like every couple weeks or something, I text you or emailed you. I'm like, 4 weeks away, 2 weeks away. I don't know what's away, but I was excited, and I know I've told a handful, but the devil really tried to get me to not get here. He used me against myself, and I had an HSA. I was using that to rent a car because that car I had, it finally died a while later, and I had to buy a car battery right before. It was like over $100, and I had cash on me, and I should have used that, but I didn't. And the details do matter because I don't even want to get into that, but I was living with an atheist when I started, whenever God called, and he was really like I had been when I was in the world, just rude. But anyway, I let that get. We had a settlement because we had so much to deal with that it was a big nightmare, like bed bugs and roaches, and I moved places to 4 floors up 2 days before the feast. So it was just craziness, and I was ready to get this check cashed and give him his money, and I was just so glad, and I was just like, I'm so glad to be rid of him, oh man. And then I was so focused in that, I took money out of the ATM, and I had the cash. Well, you can't rent a car if you don't have that. You can't just give them cash. So I was like, freaking out, and I told my dad, I was like, look, I have the cash to give you if you can put it on your card, and but if not, I'm driving that car. And this car was like redlining all the time. It was leaking stuff. And he was even like, well, maybe this is a sign. And I instantly called myself, and I was like, no, this is me. God doesn't want me to be, I can't even think of the word for it, just a child is what it was. And 4.5-hour drive down to Cersei, and the rest is history. But it was just, even the night I got here, I was a little intimidated. Where's Sissy? Oh, yeah. I remember the look on your face. Oh, that first night, because you didn't expect everybody's a Sabbath keeper here. And I come here, and, you so sweet. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It was really sweet. But she's like, how long you been keeping the Sabbath? I was like, actually, I'm a Sunday keeper. And you're like, oh, yeah. And but I was just in the flesh intimidated because I was like, oh man, I'm doing something wrong, because I just knew I was supposed to be here. But nope, nothing but love from everyone. And so I had worship for the first time. I heard truth preached for the first time. I had fellowship, which I was starved for, I realized after I was here. And, I'm sad this feast is, coming to, as we all are, but I don't know, last year was pretty intense when that, I didn't end up leaving until like 11, and that's I had 2.5 hours of sleep the next day for work, but it was worth it, and it was just, yeah, like I've said, that at that time, that was the hardest thing ever to do, was to drive away. I joked about it and I was serious. I was hoping my apartment was burned down, and I was like, I had renter's insurance, but it wasn't a big deal either, because Maddie got me a car, and didn't take long, and that was the October 6th, I think, was the last day last year, or the 5th was anyway. And then visited, we got to visit 3 weeks in a row at the end of December, and got to see the Moors when they came in, and I was down and visited like twice other times, but moved down mid-March, and this family, and I just wouldn't I wouldn't trade anything in this world for what I have with every single one of you. So it's all about having an open heart to whatever he wants to do, and I should probably take a lesson from my old self and stop analyzing things so much, and just I'm not a good thinker, the Lord is. So I was just thinking about that when you set it up. It's like I knew nothing, and I was okay with knowing nothing, and I came here knowing nothing, and so maybe I should take a lesson from early me sometimes. But yeah, praise the Lord.